Welcome to John Martin Talks, where we battle ignorance and apathy daily. The growing ignorance of just how special this experiment we call the United States of America is, and the apathy that we can't or won't do anything and everything to save her. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've made it. You've made it to Friday. The weekend is upon us. Of course, I'm going fishing after the show. You know, if you're new to the show, you might not know it, but they call me the old salty dog. And yes, I am going fishing as soon as the show's over. Man, I am out of here, but I'm committed to doing a quality show, and we definitely have one for you today. We're live from Big Daddy Unlimited Studios in Gainesville, Florida. We got a story about New York and the NRA. We're going to tell you how New York is now trying to basically break up the NRA, and they may in fact be able to do it. And we'll give you the details of that in just a moment. And then Joe Biden, man, he is the gift that keeps on giving. You know, when it comes to Black America, he told you back in 1994 that he just don't care. And maybe we find out why now, because he sees that Black America is not diverse whatsoever, not like other minority groups, that Black America, I guess, is just a monolithic culture. And we'll explain what that means in just a moment. And then, of course, the United States of America is being accused of being systematically racist, right? Systemic racism is what they've been charging. And we have concrete proof now that they must be right, because this racist country has now appointed to the Joint Chiefs of Staff the first African American to actually head one of the divisions of the service. Yes, the Air Force, terror from above, is headed now by a black man. That is just how racist we are, and we'll explain all of that. But before we go any further, I want to tell you about what we're doing here in case you haven't tuned in this week. We have a big giveaway here at John Martin Talks, compliments of our sponsor, Big Daddy Unlimited. Check it out. You can check out the sponsor in our description of our page or description of our show, whether it's on YouTube, spell out John Martin Talks, Facebook, look up at the top, the description of the show. You'll see a link to our sponsor. You could help yourself and help them help support the NRA may be going away. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But the Second Amendment is not going away if you, as the American people, stand up for it. And one way to do that and help me at the same time is to check out Big Daddy Unlimited. Look at our sponsor link. But Big Daddy Unlimited has graciously, Big Daddy himself, has given us this pack and some ditties to go with it to give away. And to get that, all you have to do, once again, look at the description of the show, no matter what network or whatever you're listening to, and look at the giveaway link. Go there and follow the instructions, and we will give out this prize pack at the end of the month. This is an everyday concealed carry bag. It has some ditties that go with it. This flashlight is a tactical flashlight and one of the more expensive ones on the market, and it will literally do everything you can imagine and then some a flashlight can do for hours on end. So check that out. We also have more in the ditty bag. We got kind of a utility pouch here, which you can store everything from your makeup ladies to gun cleaning supplies, whatever you want to do, anything you want. Of course, we have a magazine kit, so you can load up on your magazines. You know, don't be caught with just one magazine. That's what that's about. And of course, if you're going to be concealed carry, you need a holster to conceal that with. So all of these are in this pack, and we're giving it away. Once again, go to the description of the show, look at the John Martin giveaway link, and follow the instructions. You are going to get rewarded here on John Martin Talks for supporting the show. We really appreciate it. And tell your friends. They don't have to have ever looked at the show to actually get involved and have a chance at the giveaway. All right, we're going to start with a story from Reuters. New York seeks to break up National Rifle Association, alleging financial mismanagement. Now, the NRA, as you well know, is one of the strongest political organizations on the planet, certainly in the United States. And they are the first real gun association that supported the Second Amendment. And we'll get into some of the history of it in just a moment. And by being such a strong supporter of the Second Amendment, they have had a target on their back for a long, long time. And the Democrats, especially Democrats, but the progressives who have taken over the the party have made it their mission to try to destroy the NRA. And the NRA, as you'll see in this story, may have given, pardon the pun, some ammunition to do just that. August 6th story from Reuters. New York State Attorney General sued to dissolve the National Rifle Association on Thursday, alleging senior leaders of nonprofit group diverted millions of dollars for personal use to buy the silence and loyalty of former employees. Now, there have been rumors, whispers, if you will, coming out of the NRA for the last several years that there may have been some shenanigans going on there. So this is not total news. And I am not trying to defend the NRA in any way, shape, or form if they are in fact guilty of some of the charges, which we will expand upon in just a moment. But the NRA, keep in mind, has had a target on their back, has been the pet peeve, if you will, the main target for doing away with any support of conservatives like Donald Trump, for instance, was a big deal when he got the endorsement of the NRA, and the hardcore left has been trying to find a way to take out the NRA for decades. And like I said earlier, the NRA may have in fact actually given the ammunition. Now, let me say up front, I've never been a member of the NRA. Not for any specific reason. Basically, and I grew up in the country hunting and fishing and that kind of thing, and guns were just a way of life. We really didn't I guess in a way we took the Second Amendment for granted. I don't think we really even thought about it one way or another, which might be why we're in the trouble we are with it right now. Because mainly in my little old town of Hawthorne, Florida, it was just expected that everybody had a gun. You just assumed that they did, and you better assume it now if you're trying to bum rush any neighborhoods like where I live in. But like, for instance, when I was going to high school, everybody had a gun rack in the back of their pickup truck. And depending on whether it was hunting season or not, there'd be a shotgun hanging from it in the high school parking lot. Because guys either hunted before school, after school, or both. And when it wasn't hunting season, they usually had an axe handle in there. So that's just kind of the way I grew up. But I got to tell you that one of my favorite videos of all time, and I remember when this first came out, is one of my favorite actors of all time, the late, great Charlton Heston. And he was president of the NRA back in the day. And this video, we're just going to play a quick snippet of it. I want you to listen to what he says before he does his famous tagline at the end. But he talks about some things in this video that are as true today as they ever were even back then. Check it out.
Set out this year to defeat the divisive forces that would take freedom away. I want to say those fighting words for everyone within the sound of my voice to hear and to heed, and especially for you, Mr. Gore. From my cold, dead hands.
Now that, ladies and gentlemen, you want to know the definition of a man's man? It is Charlton Heston. Boy, do we need some Charlton Hestons today. I don't know that we have any. I think Donald Trump actually may come the closest to it. But man, from my cold, dead hands. But he talked about the forces that are against people who believe in this country, believe in the Second Amendment, and we are under attack right now in this country. For God's sakes, like I've been talking about the last several days this week, you can't even defend your own home. It's illegal to defend your own home. You defend your home against invaders, basically, and you're the one going to jail and they come and take your guns. You don't believe me? Just ask the McCloskeys in St. Louis or the Lacey's out in LA. I mean, it is just crazy. So we desperately need an organization like the NRA, and we need Charlton Heston. And I am hoping that that what this prosecutor is saying about the NRA isn't true. But I got to tell you, there's definitely a lot of smoke here. Whether or not there's a fire, I don't know. We'll have to see. Time will tell. But there's no question that the NRA has a target on their back. The lawsuit announced by Attorney General Letitia James alleges NRA leaders paid for family trips to the Bahamas, private jets, and expensive meals that contributed to a $64 million reduction in the NRA's balance sheet in 3 years, turning a surplus into a deficit. Now, they are serious charges. And as I say, I've got sources, and I've been studying this actually for over a year now. There definitely is some smoke to some of these charges at the NRA. Is it politically motivated? There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt that they are like the left, and this lady is a leftist without a doubt, are chomping at the bit to destroy. They don't need real evidence to try to go after the NRA. They've been going after them for a long time. But I am sad to report to you that I believe the NRA may have given them a crack in that dam, so to speak. They've been real steadfast, but I am worried that that even though it is politically motivated, it may actually be successful. In announcing the lawsuit, James told reporters the NRA has operated as a breeding ground for greed, abuse, and brazen illegality. She added, no one is above the law. That's what the Democrats say that a lot, except they're all above the law, it seems like it, including the NRA. Well, let me just tell you, the NRA also, I mean, they may be guilty of some of this or all of it. But one thing we know for sure, the NRA has had the courage over the test of time, over a century basically, of standing up for your Second Amendment rights when no one else would. When other politicians, including Republicans, were running for the corners, the NRA has been steadfast in there. Now, they've been criticized, and it's legitimate to a point, for being uncompromising. And I've even wondered sometimes why they were so uncompromising. But I've come to believe that their position is absolutely right. Not necessarily that there weren't some room for compromise, but one thing we know about progressives, if you give them an inch, they will take the proverbial mile. So I think the NRA calculated, hey, we cannot negotiate. Because I've said this before, but if I say it, it bears repeating. One of my axioms, if you will, for progressives is you cannot negotiate with them. The NRA knows all of this longer than I have. You cannot reason with them. You can only defeat them at the ballot box. Because this is a little bit of a side story, but it's real as well. If we, as American people, allow Joe Biden and the Democrats to take power in November of 2020, if we allow Joe Biden to defeat Donald Trump, and I say allow because there's no way Biden should win. But if he does, it's because the American people allowed it to happen. But if that happens, let me tell you, do you really believe the violence in the street will be more or less? Do you really believe, getting back to the Second Amendment, that you'll need to buy more or less guns? By the way, if you need to buy some, go to my sponsor link, Big Daddy Unlimited. For 99-cent free trial, it's almost free. You can look at all the incredible products they have, from guns, ammunition, right down to like the stuff we're giving away. Want this, by the way, go to the John Martin giveaway in the description of the show and sign up. We're going to give this to one lucky winner at the end of the month. But your Second Amendment rights are under direct threat. And I can guarantee you this, because a lot of people are buying guns right now in America. And if one thing that will it makes a lot of sense to weapon up, so to speak, but it makes no sense to exercise your second right and then turn around and vote for Joe Biden or not vote for Donald Trump, because you're voting for that very gun to be taken away. That's just the way it is. But kudos to the NRA for having the courage to stand when no one else would, because progressives can only be defeated. At the same time, the Attorney General for Washington, D.C. filed suit against the NRA and its foundation, alleging the misuse of charitable funds and wasteful spending. Oh, and by the way, the reason why New York can bring this suit is because the NRA financial headquarters is in New York City. So they do a lot of business, financial transactions in New York. And then, of course, their lobbying organization and other aspects of their business are in D.C., which makes them a party of the suit as well. So to me, if they're guilty, if the NRA is guilty, if true, as the Democrats say, then they absolutely should be held accountable. No one is truly above the law. And as much respect as I have for the mission of the NRA, if they're guilty of any of these charges, they need to be disciplined, the members that are, and be held accountable. It's just the way it is. I'm talking about the board of directors. The confrontation puts James, that's the prosecutor, a Democrat, against the largest and most powerful gun organization in the United States, one that is closely aligned This is the article, not me saying this, with President Donald Trump's Republican Party. So they mentioned that Donald Trump's GOP, and yes, there's no question that the NRA and the GOP have had a long history together, mainly because they've been on the right side together of Second Amendment issues. And the NRA, to its credit, has had to drag a few Republicans kicking and screaming to the right position on the Second Amendment more than once, and tugged a few Democrats along the way. Donald Trump, his GOP, yeah, it is to a certain extent. There's no question about it. It is Donald Trump's party right now. But it's always the party to a certain extent of the president. Donald Trump has more of a celebrity following than most. There's no question about that. Briefing reporters, James denied the suit was motivated by the NRA's support for Trump. Is that true, even a teeny bit? I don't know. I'm not saying that this thing is not legit by any means, but it's clearly politically motivated. There is no question about that. They've had some of this evidence, for a couple of years now. There is no question they waited till right now to bring up these charges. This is politically motivated. It's not an October surprise, but it's this kind of thing. And I might believe that it wasn't politically motivated. I might actually give them the benefit of the doubt. If it weren't for the history of what this district attorney and others have not done, because they're after the NRA is no surprise to me at all. But they've never come after like Planned Parenthood, who has defrauded the government out of money, who says they don't use federal dollars for abortion when we know that's a lie, who has literally been caught on camera in New York, by the way, admitting that they sell baby body parts on the market. One of them, that Project Veritas was admitted that they bought a Ferrari with some of the money and stuff like that. So the fact that they don't even give any credence to that or try to investigate it tells me they don't have a whole lot of credence. That is not to say that the NRA is not guilty. I just do think it's politically motivated. The action is certain to further polarize a country where the NRA is revered by conservatives as a champion of the U.S. constitutional right to keep and bear arms, and vilified by liberals as an enabler and rampant gun violence. The NRA has been a champion and a subsequent target for a long time. There are other groups that have taken up some of the slack. And so if the worst case scenario happens and the NRA, so I don't think even if they're guilty of this, it's individuals that are probably going to be punished, not the actual organization. They will be crippled. There's no question about that, which is probably the main thing they're trying to do, because they punish people who support Donald Trump. That's just the way it is. That's kind of may have been the motivator of all this, to try to weaken a Donald Trump support organization. But there are other groups that support the Second Amendment, and there's some that are out front. I mean, even what's that new thing that's alternative to AARP, AMAC? They even talk about the Second Amendment. I don't know that AARP does, but AMAC sure does. And let me just tell you, though, give you a word of advice here, and this goes to a lot of things. There's never, ever going to be an organization that is stronger than the American people. Never. Because the NRA gets its strength ultimately from American people. If American people lose faith in them, there'll be trouble. But American people, you don't have to lose faith in supporting the NRA. In supporting the Second Amendment. You can support that through supporting fighters like myself. That's why I encourage you and ask you, and I'm not, hopefully not begging you, I don't want to, but go to my sponsorship link, BDU. They support the Second Amendment. I'll put them up against anybody. And while you're at it, go to the sponsor link. Also check out the giveaway, because we're trying to do that. So support fighters like JMT, like DJT, like BDU. Support us all, man. We need you to. The NRA, and I'm not saying don't support the NRA. I'm just saying that they may be in some trouble here. The NRA, which teaches gun safety in addition to advocating laws making it easier for Americans to own guns and ammunition, is subject to New York law because they do their business, like I said there. I remember, I told you, I've never been a member of the NRA, but I did take a gun safety course from the NRA back when I was in middle school, believe it or not. Yeah, in middle school, you think, oh, some of you, and of course my audience will understand, But as I said earlier, growing up, guns were just a way of life. It wasn't like we were defensive of them. We just took them for granted. I got to hunt on my own. Some people may think this is child abuse, but my dad's dead and gone, miss him terribly. But he took me hunting when I could walk. When I could hold a gun, I was out hunting, man. And he gave me a 22 single shot rifle. I used to love to squirrel hunt when I was a little kid. I had this dog I'd go with. We would hunt together. And he gave me that rifle that had been given to him by his father when I was 8 years old. I say, what? Yeah, 8 years old, I had my own gun in my own closet that I could take out, target practice, do whatever I want when I was 8 years old. So we had to take this gun safety course some years later when I was probably about 13 or 14 because of a change in the state law that if you didn't take a gun safety course, you couldn't get a hunting license. So all of us had to take it. And the thing I remember the most, and this is not a knock on the instructor, I think it was our ag teacher, by the way, but the NRA was the ones that put it on, and I appreciate that. But I remember all of us kids in the course looking around like, what the heck are we doing here? We already know all this stuff. We already got guns. Probably most of us could teach the gun safety course. I don't know. I just kept wondering why I was there. Government, man, has a way of pulling you in, don't they? Anyway, let's move along. New York State and the NRA have tangled before. The state has taken legal action against NRA branded insurance policies, so they've been battling, sold to gun owners, and the NRA is suing the state of New York for closing gun stores, good for them, under an executive order to halt the spread of COVID-19. But didn't Governor Cuomo just said we got COVID under control? Just yesterday we talked about he's begging for them to come back, begging for New Yorkers to come back. Can we come back with our guns? Because I can tell you, New Yorkers love guns. When I worked and lived in Manhattan in the mid-'80s doing electrical work, every time the word got around on a big construction job that I was heading home, all them Yankee New Yorkers would come up to me and say, hey, man, they wouldn't say, hey, can you get me some weed or anything like that, which Florida was known for. They'd say, can you get me a gun? Can you get me a gun? And I'm like, well, yeah, we heard you can literally buy them at a 7-Eleven. They literally thought in Florida, and it wasn't too far from true, that you could buy guns at a hardware store, locally. So can you get me a gun? Yeah. So I guess this old rebel kind of sounding thing, and Dixie voice, so to speak. I don't know the signs, by the way. I've heard this one. Well, I thought it was 4-3, but nobody's watching them anyway. But yeah, they'd say, hey, there's a guy from Florida, man. He can get us a gun. But there's no shortage of guns in New York City. I mean, there may be shortage of targets. Maybe that's why Cuomo was begging people to come back so you get some rich targets because they're tired of shooting at the bums. But the NRA, let me just tell you this about them. One thing is for sure, the NRA is absolutely not to blame for gun violence in America. That's what the left would have you believe, that it's the NRA that's responsible for kids getting shot at school, for babies getting murdered in Chicago or anywhere else. If someone takes their own life, which most of those gun statistics, when they talk about 40,000 gun violence, like 30,000 of them are suicides. All of that is blamed on the NRA, and the exact opposite is true. I will say that unequivocally. The NRA is absolutely not responsible for that. In fact, it's just the opposite. The NRA is a peaceful organization. In addition to attempting to close down a group that existed since 1871, I've told you about this before, the NRA was established in 1871, and one of the big reasons why that date is significant is because it was shortly after the Civil War, and the NRA was an abolitionist started by abolitionists who were people opposed to slavery, and they realized that black Americans, former slaves, were having trouble and almost impossible, and you can imagine, especially in the South, at getting guns, at actually exercising their Second Amendment rights. And the NRA, in part of their founding principle, was to help former slaves actually obtain guns. Now, how many people actually know that? Of course, my audience is pretty educated, but I guarantee you, if you ask the average young person in high school or college, they would be shocked by that, because the story, the big lie, is the NRA is, gives white folks guns to hunt black people, right? I mean, that's what they tell you. But James seeks to recover, that's the prosecutor, millions of dollars in lost assets and stop the 4 executives from serving on the board of any other nonprofit group or state. The NRA is not above the law. We're going to close with this. They should be held accountable. There is absolutely no doubt about that. If they're guilty of this, they have been, if they've been led astray, which is essentially what this is charging, then that it would be a dadgum shame and tarnish the history of the NRA. The organization doesn't deserve that. They have a proud history. The principles they stand on are needed now, as much now as ever. In 1871 to 2020, the principles that the NRA stands on are needed more than ever. Our Second Amendment rights are under attack. If you don't believe that, there's one picture I keep showing. To me, it just says it all. When you can't defend, those are the McCloskeys from St. Louis. If you cannot defend your home, the experiment we call of America is over. It is a God-given fundamental, not only inalienable right guaranteed in the U.S. Constitution. I personally believe it is a human right. The left's always talking about human rights. It is a human right, to me, as old as time itself, that you absolutely have the right to defend your hearth and home. There's no doubt about that to me. And only now in the United States is it being the place that's supposed to be the land of the free and the home of the brave. It is becoming illegal, and that is terrible, man. Support those. I mean, like what the McCloskeys are going through. You got to support people who are in the fight. That's why I keep asking for your help. JMT, support us. Support BDU, our sponsor. Check out our link in the description of our show. If you can't be in the fight yourself, everybody can support a fighter. We're not all fighters. Me and Billy Bob, who has his own, I'm a fish whisperer, by the way, in case you're new to the show. He's my psychic sidekick. He has a Twitter handle. It's at Billy Bob Bass. And I have one at John Martin Talks. You can watch us multiple places. John Martin Talks YouTube channel, obviously our Facebook, multiple Facebook pages like America's Voice News. Howdy, good morning, how you guys doing? And you can chime in on any of those. I'll respond to it as quick as possible. America's Voice News has a much broader network that we're rebroadcast on as a late night show. You can download free apps on your iPhone, Android, Apple TV, Fire Stick, Roku, Dish Network, Channel 219, and the Pluto Network. You can see John Martin and a host of other shows on America's Voice News. Check it out. All right, and we're going to move on to a Breitbart story, and it deals with none other than the gift that keeps on giving. Guess who that is? Joe Biden, man. Joe Biden, unlike the African American community, this is his words in the title here, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse group. So I'm going to show you a brief snippet here of an interview that Biden did, and this was with a group of minorities, a Hispanic, and it happened to be Hispanic, but there were black people on the call. I think it shows it right at the very beginning. But listen to what Biden says about the African American community. Basically, he says that they're not diverse. In other words, that might be a surprise to some of you African Americans. You go, look, I guess I am. You're not diverse. You're a monolithic group that better vote for Joe Biden. Check it out.
Yes, and by the way, what you all know, but most people don't know, unlike the African American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community with incredibly different attitudes about different things. Yes, and by the way,
that's good enough. He's repeating that. It was just a video. I'm not gonna blame Biden for the repeat. That's the way the videos. But think about that. He's literally telling people that, hey, unlike you Hispanics, as you likely know, but a lot of people don't know, African Americans are not diverse. Hispanics are diverse. Well, of course they are. Everybody's diverse. I hate to break it to you, but us old white dudes are diverse. I don't even know the secret handshake or the bird whistle or bird call. I don't know it, so there's diversity. Well, who's not diverse is Joe Biden, because he doesn't care. Joe Biden doesn't even know where he is right now, man. But a former Vice President Joe Biden remarked in an interview released Thursday that unlike the African American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community. So African American community, you're being told by Joe Biden that you're not diverse. Do you care? Do you actually care about it? You going to still vote for Joe Biden? Because Joe Biden don't care. I showed you that many times. We probably should play it once a week. We're not going to play it today. Play it once a week, but right up to the election. Joe Biden in 1994, when he was as cognizant as he ever is going to be, he told you flat out, African Americans, when it comes to the problems in your neighborhood, He don't care. He said, I don't care. I just want to get them predators talking about your children off the street. So I ask you, do you care? Because Biden don't care. Let me ask you this, Black America, because Biden is the one brought it up, right? You're not diverse. Why are you voting for Joe Biden? Are you afraid not to vote for Joe Biden? Because remember, he's the gift that keeps on giving. This was just, I think, this week that he said this.
And you got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact.
So you ain't black. You know what was? There was several million Black Americans voted for Donald Trump. I guess they ain't black. Maybe are they gonna have to do the paper bag test like they used to do in some of those Mardi Gras groups in New Orleans? That if you're darker than a paper bag, you're too black. I mean, give me a break, man. Biden, if you just listen to the man, not only is he a delusional, I hate to say it, but he's foolish. He's making a fool of himself. But Black America, is there any reason other than Trump derangement syndrome to vote for that dude? Really? I mean, come on, man. Garcia Navarro, that's the person that was interviewing Biden in this latest thing where he says there's no diversity in African Americans, did not ask Biden. This is critical. This is a critical thing. I've brought this up before, but I want you to listen to this. Garcia Navarro did not ask Biden why he thought the black community was not diverse. She moved on to a different topic. Of course she didn't. She should have. Any reporter worth their salt, and I'm sure this woman is probably a good reporter, they should always ask follow-up questions. Joe Biden never, ever gets a follow-up question. I cannot emphasize enough how important that is, because a follow-up question is where you dig in and actually get to the truth of the matter. You can ask a question, any politician worth their salt, and Biden is, a politician at the end of the day, they can give you some kind of answer right away. It may or may not be a good one in Biden's case, but the follow-up question is critical. That's why the President Trump, they will follow-up question him until the cows come home. When was the last time Joe Biden even got a follow-up question? He might get one in the debates, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Katrina Pearson, if you don't know who she has been a Trump supporter for a long time. She worked in the 26 campaign. I think she's in charge of some part of African Americans or maybe minorities for Trump, that kind of thing. She came out with a post on Twitter right after this, and it's amazing. She said, Katrina Pierce, senior advisor to President's reelection campaign, tweeted and showed that video, an outraged response. She said, and I quote, that is as racist as F. As racist as F. So you can figure that out. And then she shows, she talks about why the reporters don't pick up on that. Because you don't hear it anywhere but somewhere like Breitbart or John Martin Talks, maybe America's Voice News through John Martin Talks. But if you thought that was racist, and I hope you would agree that Biden even saying that shows at very least a lack of understanding. Of course, he's already said when it comes to Black America, he don't care. But that other video we showed, I misquoted. It's about 2 weeks old. This one I'm about to show is a day old, basically. Check this one out.
Mr. Vice President, your opponent in this election, President Trump, has made your mental state a campaign topic. And when asked in June if you'd been tested for cognitive decline, you've responded that you're constantly tested in effect because you're in situations like this on the campaign trail. But please clarify specifically, have you taken a cognitive test?
No, I haven't taken a test. Why the hell would I take a test? Come on, man. That's like saying before you got in this program, if you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
What do you say to President Trump, who brags about his test and makes your mental state an issue for voters?
Well, if he can't figure out the difference between an elephant and a lion, I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Did you watch that? Look, come on, man. I know you're trying to goad me, but I'm so forward looking to have an opportunity to sit with the president or stand with the president in debates. There's going to be plenty of time. And by the way, as I joke with him, I shouldn't say it. I'm going to say something I probably shouldn't say. Anyway, I am very willing to let the American public judge my physical and mental my physical as well as my mental fitness, and to make a judgment about who I am.
Thanks for watching.
Oh, there you go. I'm forward looking. I'm not looking forward. I'm forward looking. I mean, the man is out of it, guys. And this is your guy. This is the one you're going to. How many passes can one dude actually get? I mean, can you imagine what would happen if Donald Trump had a black reporter ask him any question? And he said, well, have you been tested? Are you been tested for cocaine? Are you a junkie? Oh, my God, man. They would be impeaching Donald Trump for saying like that. But Joe Biden gets a pass. What does he mean? Is this guy a junkie? And as far as the cognitive test, well, he just failed it right there. I mean, Biden, first of all, said, yeah, I take them all the time. And then he said, no, I've not taken one. And he talks about the elephant and the lion. That wasn't even part of the test. That was something that a CNN reporter talked about. But Joe Biden admitted that he hadn't taken a test. He literally just took one and he couldn't pass it. This guy, and this is the guy, I mean, the question I have is how long is the media going to protect this guy? The debates, everybody's talking about the debates. I'm wondering, first of all, are they really going to happen? Of course, it does look like they are. But how is Joe Biden, how are they going to protect this fool in the debates, man? Is he going to, you're a lying dog-faced pony girl or whatever that is. All right, well, we only got a few minutes left, but I got to get into this. Back up one second. I got to ask again. Are you really? Now, you can hate Donald Trump all you want. I get it. But are you really going to vote for Joe Biden? Really? Are you going to put you can hate Donald Trump all you want, but are you really going to turn over the keys to the White House to Joe Biden? I mean, I think you're turning them over to Bernie Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez myself. I don't think the VP is as big a deal. I think he's going to pick Kamala Harris. I've been saying that for a while. But the people behind the throne are going to be Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders. I mean, Biden has caved into them. But I gotta keep asking, are you really going to put that dude back in the White House or into the White House? Really? It's just hard for me to fathom. But, they're saying he's winning. He's losing at life right now. He should be enjoying himself on his front porch with his grandchildren, not trying to get in the White House. All right. Air Force General, to show you, as I said earlier, to absolutely prove that we are systematically racist country, rotten to the very core. Air Force General officially becomes first African-American service chief, according to The Hill. General Charles C.Q. Brown has taken the reins of the Air Force, officially becoming the first African-American general to lead a branch of the U.S. military. Congratulations, sir. Now, how is this guy able to do that? Right? I mean, when you're a racist nation. I mean, that's one of the top positions in the world, let alone the United States. He's in line to be a chief of staff of the entire military now that he's on there. He's on the military chief of staffs now. Brown was officially sworn in as an Air Force chief of staff in a ceremony Thursday at Joint Base Andrews, Maryland, where the oath was administered by Air Force Secretary Barbara Barrett, a woman to boot, a black man and a woman. Oh my God, we're just congratulations. I got to give him congratulations. This is what Mr. Brown said. This is a very historic day for our nation. Absolutely. And I do not take this moment lightly, and he shouldn't, and neither should you. This is a big, big deal. He said, today's possible due to the perseverance of those who went before me. Now, I like this guy already because that's the humility we need for our heroes. He is admitting that he would not be there if it weren't for the sacrifices of people who came before him. When you can admit that honestly, you are miles ahead of most people. Because a lot of us think, oh, we're self-made men. Well, self-made men are the ones digging the ditch. Not that I'm against digging the ditch. You show me somebody who rises to the level that this gentleman has, and he had a lot of help and stood on the shoulders of giants. And that's what he's saying here. He said, today's made possible for me, serving as an inspiration to me and so many others. Who's inspiring you right now? Somebody needs to be inspiring you. He said, those like the Tuskegee Airmen, Benjamin O. Davis Jr., Chappie James, Charles McGee, African-American leaders across our Air Force and our military, past and present, including today's special guest, Mr. Ed Dwight. This is how racist we have been. Ed Dwight, America's first African-American astronaut candidate. He said it's due to their trials. I want you to listen to this, talking about the people who came before him. It's due to their trials and tribulations in breaking barriers that I can address you today as the Air Force Chief of Staff. And you know what I was thinking about? Are you listening, Barack Obama? Are you really listening? I mean, we were talked about yesterday that Michelle is, depressed because who's in the White House and the racial strife that is happening and the COVID and everything else. But here is a man that is so much more of a man than Barack Obama. And I'm going to say it. I'm just going to tell it like it is. It has nothing to do with race. It has to do with words. When Barack Obama had the chance just this past week to unite America, to bring us together, to try to heal the wounds, especially, they talk about Trump, okay? And one of the things the Obamas and the hardcore left is that Trump is a divider. He's dividing us. He chops us up into race. They accuse him of everything they're guilty of, by the way. But let's just say, for the sake of conversation, that everything they say about Donald Trump is true from the left and the Obamas, that he's a racist and that he's trying to divide America. Let's just give him that for a second. If true, use the Democratic term, then what are you, Mr. Obama, that you use a eulogy at a funeral to tear this country further apart? You know that there are fires burning both literally and figuratively all over this great nation, and you bring gas. You bring a truckload, a tanker full of gas, and you just spray it all over it. That's what he did at Mr. John Lewis's funeral in Atlanta this past week. That's what Barack Obama did. I wish he had a tenth of the fortitude and the humility of Mr. Brown. If he did, maybe we wouldn't be in the fix we're in. So if you're out there listening, Obama and Michelle, no wonder you're depressed, because you got to go home to him every night. I'm just telling you the truth. Put Trump aside. Put your Trump derangement syndrome aside. What Barack Obama did at John Lewis's funeral is basically unforgivable. He took that solemn opportunity. They talked all week about how much John Lewis had done. We could debate that, but certainly he made some sacrifices. And Obama took the opportunity to spray gas on that fire to further divide America. That's a fact. It's not my opinionated fact. It is simply a fact. And I get fired up because we need more heroes like Colonel Brown, like the head now of the Air Force. I don't know that much about him, but what little bit I know, Barack Obama can't hold a candle to this guy. Let me check my time. We're almost out of time. The ceremony also marked the retirement of outgoing Air Force Chief of Staff David Goldfein after a 37-year career that included getting shot down in Serbia in 1999. So thank you for your service, sir. I don't know much about you, but I thank everybody who serves, man. I go out of my way to walk up to people who serve. If I see them in uniform where they're a veteran or active military service, and I say thank you. I'm doing that to police officers a lot today, and it makes a difference. But it was capped by President Trump's surprise decision to pass him over for chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff in favor of General Mike Markley. In his parting speech, Goldfein recounted all the responsibilities that walking the halls of the Pentagon each day reminded him of, including the need for a apolitical military. I don't doubt that. No, they're trying to take a shot at Trump here. The Air Force Chief of Staff transition ceremony comes 2 days after Trump held a ceremony swearing in for Brown in the Oval Office, a rarity for a service chief. So the racist that is Donald Trump actually brought this gentleman, the first African American to be head of the service, into the Oval Office, basically never been done before. Donald Trump has proven that I've been right all along when I've been telling you that Donald Trump, he is the worst racist that has ever been in the White House. And you're going, if you're new to the show, you're going, oh my God, hold on. Donald Trump is the worst racist because he sucks at it. I mean, here he sucks at it absolutely. Black unemployment, all-time low before the pandemic. Black home ownership, all-time high. Black business ownership up 400%. Appointing African Americans to top positions of leadership for the first time ever. Obama didn't do this. You know, he didn't do it. So, I mean, President Trump is the worst racist ever because he absolutely sucks at it. Well, I hope you enjoyed the show as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. Please go directly to John Martin Talks Facebook page, like it and share it with others. I hope you have a great, blessed weekend. Do not forget 2 things over the course of the weekend. Invite your friends. First of all, we're giving something away. You get it for free. This backpack, which is a everyday carry for concealed weapon. You can carry anything you want. The flashlight you see here, the Diddy bag here that you can put everything, gun cleaning supplies. We got a concealed carry holster. And I know this next thing will upset Mario Cuomo. We have a magazine holder as well, because you might need more than 7 bullets to kill a deer or one of them bad apples coming after, bad hombres or something coming after you. As I say, I hope you've enjoyed the show. Check it out. Check out our sponsor link, because as I say, not all of us can be fighters like me and Billy Bob, but all of us can be supporters. So look at that BDU. I'll pray for your family. You pray for mine. Let's all pray for this great nation. She deserves it. But above all else, like I say each and every day, from my heart, from my family to yours, have a blessed day.